Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of the Wellness Tribe podcast. My name is Danny Shodongo, and today I am hosting a friend and a brother I've known for quite a while. The discussion is simple. I accuse celebrities for damaging the mental health of our young people by their endless clout chasing. And to help me make sense of this, none other than
Ndlovu.
Chito Ndlovu.
Yes.
Are you a celebrity?
I'm in media.
Okay.
I think to think of yourself as a celebrity is to put yourself in a high horse you're not meant to be. But I'm in media. So I work in media, work on Kiss FM, have a show there.
Yeah. There's just been a lot of clout chasing coming from the people who would call themselves celebrities. And I'm just thinking from a mental health perspective, what do you think is the impact of constantly churning clout chasing? Like, for example, I hold my wife's hand, and we go and we buy a brand new vehicle, but the next birthday we buy another vehicle, and we don't see these vehicles in the parking lot. What is the impact? I mean, why you all guys passionate about this clout chasing business for so long?
I feel like we are putting responsibility too much on a 1%.
Yeah.
Yet it is 99% who are following this. Number one, first of all, if a guy decides he wants to hold hands with his wife and buy a car this birthday, on anniversary buy another car, that is their business. It is us.
Act like they're buying.
Yeah, whether they're buying it or they're acting like it, there is a need for that content.
Okay.
That's why they have huge followings. What are the highest followed accounts on YouTube in Kenya? Besides the Willie Pauls of this world, it's the Bahatis, it's the Dianas. Those are the guys you're following.
Yeah.
And why are they being followed? Because there's a purpose that they have, and their purpose is to entertain us. Because there are people who follow them for the sake of our jinga. There are others who follow them for the purpose of I want to aspire. We're in an aspirational society. Nobody wants to follow the guy who has nothing. Everyone wants to follow the guy with something. You want to aspire. That's why you follow Eric Omondi. You want to be like him.
You wanna wear
flower pots. That's what you want to do. There's something to it. And he's doing well at it. I mean, he said just yesterday I saw him advertising something. So there's something right he's doing. You can't peg our mental health on one guy or a couple of people. It's not my responsibility. This sounds rude and it sounds ruthless, but your mental health is not my responsibility. That's yours. It sounds rude and sounds almost uncaring, but that's the truth. It's the same way somebody else's child is not my responsibility. That's their responsibility. And what usually, in fact, one of the things I love about mental health conversations is you take responsibility for your mental health.
But let me ask you, Chito, I understand that it's my own personal responsibility, but do you think there's a space for sort of like taking responsibility and saying what I would call responsible use of mediums? Like, for example, on my timeline, do I have the responsibility, maybe perhaps to my audience, to be truthful? And being truthful is to say that, honestly, by the way, I didn't buy that vehicle. Don't let that drive you insane. Should we put caveats like, say, excessive consumption of alcohol is bad for your health? Do you guys now need in your videos and all these flashy videos where you're clout chasing saying, this is not real, do not buy it, this is not real? Do you think perhaps we need to adopt some sort of, a caveat?
Let me put it first from a personal note. On a personal note, I personally don't put myself out there like that because that's a personal decision. It is me who's decided, not for somebody else, for myself. It is me who decided, I don't want to do this for my mental health because that's my decision. Somebody else has decided to put out their car. They're celebrating their victory. You have decided to watch them. You've decided to follow them. It's not, we cannot hold responsible media for every single thing that your child. In fact, I love what Akothe said. I'm not your mother. I'm not responsible for raising your children. If you're looking for wholesome content, in fact, I love that algorithms follow what you like. If you're on Instagram, the algorithm will give you what you like most. That's what it will give you. It won't give you something else. So it's giving you what you are already consuming, something you already love to see. You cannot, these guys, it's their job. You know, Mutu anapandisha red card.
There's a difference between buying the actual car and us telling the story of where you've come from, perhaps from the Valley of Madare, you've beaten so many odds, you've come from far, and that's a story that is inspirational. The story that I want to raise, and that's why I want to ask you if there's any sort of personal responsibility or to take, is where you're pretending to buy the car, putting people under pressure while you are not buying this car. You've actually worked with these people who have yards, and then you go and take this expensive vehicle. The next birthday or the next anniversary, we're not seeing this vehicle. It's nowhere, but you're not telling your audience that actually this is showbiz. This is showbiz. What we did is that we partnered and we are making money. That's how we make money. Because I feel if we tell people like that, then we're going to help younger people who are still dealing with their identities to have sort of peace and relax and know that they're not
That
late,
is the parents'
they're not
job.
poor.
It is your parents' job to give you peace and to teach you that the world will crush you. It is not Bahati's job. It's not Chito's job.
Yeah.
It's your parents' job. You see how these people are making, but you know it. Anybody who sits down and you see that content, when you see it, you're like, anyway, ndugu yangu, you bought a Benz in Jan. You're buying a Parado. It's even you who's looking at it should be able to logically understand and say, no, these guys are up to something. And they will tell you, we have gone to so and so motors. We have gotten this car from so and so motors. It is up to you to put one and one together and realize these guys are advertising for these people. But there are those that are genuinely buying them. Yes. There are those who are genuinely buying a car in January, another one in May. The only thing maybe they will not tell you is that they traded in the one they bought in January in May to get the one that they wanted. Those are the things they may not tell you. But also, that is upon you. This person is doing a job. Their job at the end of the day is to create buzz, drive action to these people, drive buyers to these people. Their job is not to come back. Imagine if I come back and then I'm telling you, see that guy I bought for you, it's a lie, I didn't buy it, I was advertising. How many people are going to follow you? There are two ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
There's the side of, yes, I get it, there's responsibility. But there's also the side of someone has to put food on their table.
Exactly.
They must put food on their table.
So, Chito, are you going to put food on your table regardless of the impact of what you're doing?
But that's the reality.
Because, Chito, for example, psychology says that people are their brains are fully formed at 25. So we are talking about children who are 17 and 16, and you're feeding them this garbage, and this garbage, because I could be a father and you could be a parent, but you don't have access. Of course, you can control Facebook, blah, 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 for somebody who's under 18. But we're talking about somebody who's just 18 and 19, who has just like Malizad High School. They're trying to figure their lives out. They're in campus. They're trying to work hard. They're in school. They don't know how to differentiate whether this is showbiz or not.
You are inspired. You see the word used before. So inspiring.
So Chito,
you are inspiring them.
No, Chito, so I think the audience, we ought to categorize the audience. You and I can take that and you can say, okay, then. Because we have lived, we know, and we've worked in the media, we know how it works.
Yes.
But how about that person perhaps in Garbatula, that person in Ongeche village where I come from, who just has a phone, and then they're feeling like they're 25 and they're feeling like they're late. They're feeling like they're failures. They're feeling like they cannot, do anything that is meaningful with their life because their mentor or the person they watch a lot has just hired a billboard, which was perhaps fake.
It's not their responsibility. I will keep saying this for one simple fact. And we always want to blame other people for our own mistakes. We always want to blame other people for why we are not doing what we are not doing. It is life's laws. If the fingers are not the same, you will never be the same. Justin Bieber is younger than you and I, but he's richer than you and I. I will not sit down and try to go and start figuring out my life with Justin Bieber. No. Somebody who's probably our age is Trevor Noah, born in Africa, same city. But I will not be looking at Trevor Noah and wanting to start competing with that. No. Because at the end of the day, it is every parent's responsibility to put up their child in a way that you realize that my son, my daughter, when you get out into the world, not everybody is going to be the same way you want them to be. Not everybody is telling you the truth. We've been lying for years. Countries have been lying. In fact, I was having this conversation with you just before. We believed Russia was a superpower that would terminate you in a matter of seconds. They've been at war with Ukraine for the last 1 year. Yeah. Does that look superpower to you? Already for me, there's an element of fakeness to what was sold to us.
But there's so many nuances because then everyone else is giving weapons to
Yeah. We can talk, we can do that whole, but at the end of the day, we expected that thing to be done in a matter of 1 hour, finished and highlighted, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
It's this, we've been selling an idea, we've been selling an image for long. And people in media are in the business of image. That's the business we're in. The people in fashion are in the business of image. They're selling you what you aspire to be. They're selling you something, they're selling you what you hope you want to become. So why should I stop selling you what I want, what you know you want to become, because I'm afraid of how it's going to come out for you? That's not my responsibility.
But remember, there's a friend of mine, there's a famous celebrity, we work together, and so the celebrity would actually carry githeri to work.
Yes.
But you never imagine that she can eat githeri. You'd imagine that this is a person who eats like, sushi all the time, all these high-end.
But even you have a balanced diet, Danish.
I mean,
githeri is part of a good balanced diet.
Is okay, githeri looks like
it's part of a balanced diet.
It's sort of been sold as the food for mjengo
no.
and stuff like that.
Kwanza githeri, also, if you are working in media, you need to be awake. You cannot kula ugali and nyama and skuma. Utalala bana.
Alikuwa naikula kwa stair. During lunch na hepa even naikula.
Alikuwa na hepa.
Yeah. So you'd imagine this person never eats githeri. They never cook their own food. In fact, this person does not even use her hands to eat. There must be. And so out here, when you see the image they're sharing, and I think there's something you said which is also very important. I think for me, what we need to tell younger people is that social media, you may be spending, say, 80% of your time there, but it is not real. Social media, Twitter is like a small part of the world. Facebook is a small part of the world. Instagram is a small part of the world. So if you're spending 70, 80% of your time there, that does not constitute 80% of your reality unless you choose it,
Yeah.
But then there's also a new thing that is coming up. I don't know what you think about it, of these Twitter trends, where people are writing threads. Some of them are extremely, they're not truthful. Like this guy who recently wrote a thread about why are men leaving. I said, tell me when was the last time you decided you were going to leave. Then there's a thread under there. Then there's a lady who said that, by the way, but this dude left a child who's autistic,
But that wasn't a lie.
It wasn't a lie. What?
He did leave. It wasn't a lie. He did leave.
Yeah.
It's just that he embellished the story, but he did leave. Yeah. He left.
But he left a woman with an autistic child.
I think there's a story there I think there's two sides to every story. Yeah. I sympathize with such stories, but I feel there's two sides to every story. Yeah. There's probably a side that we haven't seen and a side we haven't yet experienced. But for me, such trends are there because each and every single one of us is a clout chaser anyway. Each and every single one of us. Let me break it down.
The capacity.
It's just the capacity of how we do it. Even look at it in your family. In your family, if you come from a family of even more than 2 children, there was always that one child who just always had drama. Yeah. What is that? That's the clout chaser. Yeah. There was always that one child who was always looking for attention, seeking attention. You are there. And then there were these ones who never sought attention because they wanted to do the opposite of what the other one was doing so that they too could get attention as huyu anakuanga mzuri, huyu ndo mubaya, huyu ndo mzuri. Clout chasing is in all of us. It's just whichever degree we want to take it. There's somebody said on Twitter, they're realizing that nobody knows them. We're constantly seeking validation from others, seeking approval. When we get followers, we feel we have approval. You feel, they are following me. You feel that approval and that validation. When you don't have followers, you feel like you don't have that approval and validation. It's because the foundations of our entire society and our being has been pushed down to your image. What do you look like? What do you feel like? What do you sound like? If I don't, even with political circles or in life circles, everyone is always looking for someone to connect them to somebody. We are all clout chasers. We just need, the moment we begin to accept that we are clout chasers, then you find your degree. To what degree am I a clout chaser? Whether are you in a family setup clout chaser, your social media setup clout chaser, this person has created a story. People are going down there. My only issue with such stories is they are one-sided. That's my problem with such stories.
And Chito, what you're saying is very true, because for me, I remember when my article started going viral and I started writing now really hard-hitting articles, I had to retreat and take a step back. Because then, and I wanna ask you now, let's shift this conversation to the impact of that on the influencers. You work with many of them. I've worked with many of them. Do you think they are genuinely ever happy? If you're always this clout chasing, do you think you can ever be happy, Chito, honestly?
I think it depends on you as an individual and the balance you have in life. Okay. In all honesty, I know many people who are struggling mentally because you have purported an image. You see, one of the greatest things about purporting an image is what traditional media does is we purport an image on truth. We exaggerate your truth or the truth. What most influencing is doing is either exaggerating a non-existent story to make it existent. So you get this thing and make it real when it was not real in the first place. So you're creating you are pushing an idea, not pushing the truth. So there are those people who get, because you also, even in traditional media, we have people who are stuck in their heads because you've lived in your head for so long. All that has happened is now The people who are stuck in their heads have gone onto social media and are now living on social media in their heads. So is it healthy? Of course it's not healthy. As an individual, you have to have a balance.
A balance, yeah.
There has to be a balance. You have to know, if you're choosing that you want to be a clout chaser, there's times not to clout chase. What it may mean is not being on social media for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month at a time.
Taking a break,
and taking a break to realize, to get whole with yourself. Because I don't believe there is no place for all these people. There is a place for a clout chaser. There is a place for the person who genuinely, yani drama inampata tu genuinely. Yani amekuwa ameketi, ya anafanya maneno alafu drama ikampata penye
I like the story that there are people who chase drama, then there are people who drama chase. Like, for example, drama just finds Jalango, wherever it is.
Wherever he is, just finds him.
Drama just finds him. Well, there are people who now have to
and there are people like Dennis Okari who drama is just never there.
Exactly.
When it finds them, there is a way they just somehow they stay.
My friend Mark,
They're just always calm, always chill. There is a place for everyone, and the mental your mental faculty and how it comes back to you. I know it sounds rude, but I'll keep saying it. Mental health is an individual. It is you who decides, I want to live a mentally healthier life. If you don't make that decision from an individual basis, the winds will carry you wherever they go to.
But Chito, I think you and I who've been in the media for a while, we owe a responsibility to the younger people who are walking into this space, which in my opinion can be extremely toxic, to tell them that you're going to have to create a life outside this bubble of media, which can be quite addictive. The parties, I remember very well, we used to have like all the parties and drink in the office and all this sort of stuff. But I was in debt. I had to buy things I did not need. I mean, I couldn't afford because then... And I'm taking personal responsibility because maybe perhaps there are things in me that I need to deal with so that then I'm not really forced into fitting in this. But my story is not my story alone. It's the story of many people who walk into this media. And you know very well how many of our colleagues are in debt, Chito.
Yes, no, that I know.
You know how many of our colleagues are using drugs.
I know.
Substance, and they're abusing substance.
I know.
You know many of our colleagues who are living in really horrible conditions, but they're willing to go into expensive hotels just for clout. So at what point do we tell younger people? Because then, media ni kioo cha jamii. But at what point do we tell younger people who are walking into this space that this is a trap? This place is good, but it has landmines, and you've got to be authentic. At what point do you do that?
You see, the space we are in, and which is very important to note, we are in a space that has, quote unquote, you have this celebrity ship.
Yeah.
That's the space we are in. The space we're in has a pressure in that everybody sees you. Yeah. We also have to take note of that. Everybody sees you, so you feel as an individual, because we're both in the space, there are sometimes you begin to feel as an individual, how do they see me? And you begin to use your worldview and allow your traumas and everything to explain how the world is looking at you, especially if you haven't begun to go through therapy and deal with the underlying issues that you had. Because remember, if you grew up in a traumatic experience and then you find yourself thrust into media, and all you heard as a child, your parent always told you, wewe ni mjinga, wewe ni mubaya. That is how that is the voice that you think the audience has of you. Now that we've explained this other part. And so for me, yes, these things are happening. Yes, people are struggling in all these ways. But once again, remember when I go back to a parent and a child individual setup is because when you come into the media space, you need to realize you have to find your anchors and your pillars.
So it's your responsibility to find your anchors
to find your anchors and your pillars. One of my anchors and my pillars is me and you have been friends way before I got onto radio.
Exactly, yes.
I have many friends of mine who have been friends with way before I got onto radio. Those are some of the anchors I have. My faith is another anchor of mine. I hold my faith and my values very closely. These are some of my anchors. They help me realize, okay, Chito, you're now beginning to make a bad step. I have friends who can call me out, and they have the full right to call me out and say, what you're doing, ni ujinga. Focus. I have other anchors. Financially, I have anchors as well. There are things and there are goals that I've set for myself. So that Mimi, when the mic goes off, I think I'll still be talking in my 90s. And I'm able to, I have left my children in something. I've left my children's children in something. Those are some of my anchors and my pillars. But everyone has their own individual ones. You cannot blame somebody else. I blame the government for shooting this person. You can't.
Okay, that's a
it sounds
ground.
It sounds abstract.
Chito, that's murky. I'm a social justice person, so we're not gonna go there.
You cannot blame the guy you saw on TV for you going into debt. You can't. It is you who has decided with your full responsibility to go into that debt. It is you for whatever reason, because debt is not bad. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Here, I think we're talking about bad debt.
Yeah, but Chito, I also need to. There's something I like about you, that you always tell me that publicity does not always result into wealth or money. You can be famous and poor.
Yeah. There are very many famous poor people.
Exactly.
In fact, there are very many poor famous people, if we put it that way.
So how then do we tell younger people, especially people who perhaps are planning to come into this space, and we're telling them that don't just chase clout, but make sure that even as you chase clout, the bottom line is that you are trying to make your life better and the lives of people around you. You know,
that comes back to you. It comes back, and I always go back to the individual, because the mass is too many people. Coming back to you as an individual, some of the things that are very important, even as we are growing and we're learning and we're nurturing, because I know there are many people who are mentors, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Because sometimes you're mentoring somebody and you don't know
exactly.
And that's why I remember when I said, when even for you as an individual, even fellow media practitioners and influencers, when they're getting onto their social medias, some of them are thinking, yes, I have a mentor. There are people are mentoring unknowingly. There are those who don't believe they're mentoring anyone. Because Akothea will said, I've not said I'm going to be your mentor. Me, I've decided to hustle for myself. At that point, it is upon us to be able, that's why I keep on saying the breaks. The breaks also help somebody who follows you to understand this one is figuring out their own things. Also help somebody to say, okay, anakuanga na maisha yao. And in life, nothing is one streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is we're all
nuanced and
yes, we're all multifaceted
beings. Exactly.
To one person I'm bad, to another one I'm great, to another one I'm this guy anakwanga tu, to another one huyu anakona vitu. But also most importantly, finance is your individual responsibility to learn. We grew up in most households where you were not taught about finance. There are so many places teaching finance these days.
So you can't blame people.
You can't blame somebody else for why, or even I'm a clout chaser because Eric Omondi is a clout chaser. Eric Omondi is in a business. That is his job. It is his business.
Andrew Kibe
is in business.
Is in business.
Andrew Kibe has discovered his agenda is I will protect the men at whichever cost. And sometimes the cost is speaking badly of the other, but that's his business. You have to, and I'm sure you've read the book, The 48 Laws of Power.
No, I haven't read it.
One of the 48 Laws of Power is that you have to create an agenda. It is us versus them. Eric Omondi has created an agenda. Everyone is fighting him, but you keep following him. Andrew Kibe has created an agenda. Andrew Tate, who's now in prison, created an agenda. Everyone has created an agenda. That's how you will never have leaders who are you never have leaders who are following leaders. It is followers who follow leaders. And so, as a practitioner, you'll always want to find your followers. You will seek your followers, and there are followers for everyone. There are dumb followers, there are smart followers, there are critical thinking followers. But even you, as more people are getting into these spaces, we still have to realize we are responsible for our own mental health, responsible for our own finances, and all these other things.
So, Chito, as we come to an end, I think we're grounding this conversation that there's so many options out here.
Yes.
There are people who are doing wholesome content. I love CTA, cleaning the airwaves.
Yeah, I love CTA. Oh my God, CTA is beautiful.
It's beautiful because I love
I think what Richie is doing is
amazing.
Fantastic.
I love what they're doing. But then there are people who love the Jesus family, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, exactly.
Look at the social media platforms sort of as a marketplace where you can go and choose, you can go and take Nduma, you can go and take Rabone, you can go and take this and that and that. Or look at it as a street that has fast food and healthy food. They're both the same price. You decide which you want to take. So if today you take bad food, you're not going to say, oh, you are the entrepreneur who placed this bad food here, so I will not eat it. Absolutely. I mean, now that I'm dealing with weight issues and I'm dealing with, lifestyle issues, then now I'm blaming you. While there was just a lifestyle option that you needed to make. So I think for us, what we're saying here is that you've got to have personal responsibility.
It comes back to you. It comes back to your personal responsibility because you have your preferences and your tastes. I think if somebody sees where I work and then came onto my Spotify or my YouTube algorithm, they'll be very confused. They'll think that I'm a fake person. No. I love where I work. I love the music we play where I work, but I also have my tastes and my preferences. I have the things that I love. The other thing,
Usually when I was at your place, I was telling you your playlist is dope.
Yeah.
Worship songs.
Yeah, but that's true, and that's what you'll find. Even in my car, that's what you'll find playing.
Yeah.
I love pop music, but that's what, because for me, there's something I get from it.
Yeah.
There's something it feeds me with.
But then let me say this, Chito. Even for you, Chito here works for a really. You work for Kiss One.
Yes, I work for Kiss FM. Yes.
But if you meet Chito outside Kiss, you never know. Like you play drums in church.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
every Sunday.
You jog.
Yes, I do.
You serve in the worship team.
Yes, I do.
And you're into business.
Yes.
Nyamakema.
Yeah, me niko Nyamakema, niko Naivasha, niko Nakuru. That's the thing that I do. Because I'm also looking.
But if somebody came to your platforms, they can say that Chito is not utilizing Kiss FM.
Yeah.
Why is this?
I've gotten that a lot.
Why don't you have like too many followers?
Yes.
Why are you not as big as other people?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, quote unquote. But also, what they don't understand is that Chito, you've been in this space for quite a while.
I've been doing this for 10 years, bro.
For 10 years.
I started on social media.
Yeah.
When nobody knew what Twitter was, I was on that space.
Yeah.
We're with Ex-Chandela and Nyakundi, we started together, and all of us branched out into our own individualness. By the end of the day, for me, like I keep saying, one of my most important pillars, what am I leaving behind? When I get my family and my family is growing, what am I leaving for my family? What am I mean?
So for you, the fame is not just for fame. It's a means to an end.
It just so happens I'm passionate about radio.
Yeah, okay.
It just happens the thing I love is out there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do I utilize? Yes, I utilize it the best of my ability. But also, we all have different needs and different wants for where we are. I'm trying to grow a family self. I'm trying to push a family self. I don't want to be the regular Joe who's just up and down. And so when you look at that, that's my individual.
Yeah.
That's my individual decision.
So if there are people who want to follow that type of stuff, they need to follow you.
Exactly.
But then there are those who like hot air and
there are those people who love that. Eric is there.
Yeah.
There are people who love the Wajiza's family. They're there. And even when you follow some of these guys from outside the country, there are people who are giving wholesome content for family base. Me, one of the guys I love is The Rock. When you follow The Rock, even if you follow him on his Instagram, it's very clear his family. And he's put that family into his movies, put that family into his brands, put that even in his tequila and whatever else he's doing. He's putting it from a family basis. Yeah. Family is what matters, bro.
So Chito, today you're giving us the concluding remark, and you can check your camera there and speak to this people out here and tell them exactly the reality in the media, the pitfalls, and why it's their personal responsibility to take care of themselves.
It's always going to be a personal responsibility. The reality is many of us are actors. Yeah. That's the truth. Many of us are actors. We are giving you a performance. Yeah. We're entertaining you. Yeah. Why I say that is also because sometimes we are unhappy, but we have to be happy for you. Yeah. So as you follow the joy and the excitement, we are just like you. Yeah. We go to the bathroom like you. We fall in love like you. We get heartbreaks like you. These are all parts of our lives. And we also love it when you follow us. So at the end of the day, remember, the mental health is your responsibility. Check on yourself. When you feel something is getting too crazy, figure out how to sort that out. If you're in therapy, keep going for it. If you left therapy, go back to therapy. Yeah. Find the things that make your mental health well. There are those of us who, whether it's jogging, whether it's sitting in a quiet place, you find the things that keep your mental state stable. So that you don't just follow people. Follow them for your amusement. Me, there are people I follow for the sake of amusement. Just look at them and you're like, huyu ananibamba. But at the end of the day, realize that that influence for yourself as an individual is dependent on the walls you've set up around your mental health.
Until next time, that was the 3rd episode of The Wellness Tribe. I'm Danny Shodongo and
Chito Ndlovu.
Thank you so much.